Hi everyone, my name is Anne Logan and this is the I'veReadThis.com YouTube channel, and today I am going to be reviewing Away from the Dead by David Bergen. This book was just published this month, September 2023, and it was actually just announced as being longlisted for the Scotiabank Giller Prize, which is one of the richest literary prizes in Canada. David Bergen has actually won it before in 2005, and I've linked to a review below this video that I did of one of his books in 2014. Bergen is a very serious writer. He's one of these guys who's written a ton of stuff. He's been shortlisted for quite a few things, won a lot of awards, and I don't think he's going to win the Giller Prize again because it's rarely awarded to an author twice, but it's quite the nod to him that he's been nominated a second time. So good for him. This book is a work of historical fiction. It takes place in the Ukraine between the years of 1899 and I want to say 1915, 1916-ish. And it's basically about what it was like at that time to live during the Russian Revolution. It follows a few different characters and their families and how they are connected and how their bonds, deepen or change over the course of those few decades. The characters in this book generally are trying to stay out of the war. They're trying to stay away from the violence and just continue to live their life. Unfortunately, that's impossible for them to do. So we basically follow them as they're trying to live their life. And a lot of things still happen that we wouldn't necessarily associate with wartime. There are weddings, there are celebrations, children are still being born, people are still living their lives. But it's all against this horrific backdrop. And at that time in Ukraine, it was a very brutal existence. And there isn't a lot of gore or violence in this book. That happens mainly off the page. But it's definitely clearly a part of the lives of these characters. And they generally remain quite stoic and committed to just moving forward regardless of the circumstances. I've got my little notes here. There's a particular character in here that I really enjoyed following. He loves books. He opens a bookstore, and he says frequently that he just wants to be left alone with his books, and he hopes that if he just remains focused on his books that he can kind of stay out of trouble and stay out of the war. That he's not successful in that. He is, of course, dragged into it, as many men of that age are at that time. But his, romantic sense of life never seems to be distinguished, which was one reason that I really connected with this character in particular. Bergen's writing is very interior. Not a lot tends to happen. It's a lot about how the characters are feeling, how they're relating to one another. But his writing is so beautiful, and the book is quite short. It's just over 200 pages, but I still found it really emotionally affecting. And there was numerous characters introduced in this novel. So it's really a testament to how strong his writing is that he's able to draw in the reader in such a short amount of time and make us care about these characters, even though we don't really know them that well. Something else that I really liked about this book was the last page. I don't know if you can see there. So it has a list of just a few characters' names. These aren't all the characters. And the year of their death and the location of their death. And especially as a Canadian in this time, it was a really stark reminder that so many people start their lives in one place. They live almost an entire lifetime in one country, and then they can start a whole new life somewhere else. So some of the characters that we meet in this book end up dying in Canada decades later, and we don't read anything about that time in their life. This book begins and ends in Ukraine, but it's just such a poignant reminder of how people come to Canada. And especially right now, being in Calgary, I've already met so many newcomers from Ukraine. So this is definitely a very relevant book to read right now, and I think people would really enjoy reading it right now just because it makes us feel perhaps a little bit closer to Ukraine and Ukrainians and the struggles that they've had over the centuries, not just now. So highly recommend this one, David Bergen's Away from the Dead. I hope you guys are getting a chance to get some good reading in this fall, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.